Welcome back to Almost a True Crime Podcast. I'm Madison.
And I'm Taryn.
And we are a lively, conversation-based true crime podcast between two best friends. We take everything seriously except for ourselves. Listener discretion is advised due to the mature content and the amount of cuss words we say. You've been warned.
Hey, kids.
What's up? Hello. How are you? Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. Meow, 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 meow.
Just deleting a bunch of weird pictures on my phone.
Your mom said you guys got a rape whistle in there.
Did she really?
It's actually an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle.
I got an Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile shaped whistle from work, and I really thought Tara would like it, so I presented it
And
to her today on top of our finances, which are grim.
Softened the blow.
Because I quit. Listen, I didn't fill out the tax information, so they quit paying.
They're like, fine. No money for you.
So.
And we're not used to really
having money,
so we're like,
I'm like, this is probably right. We probably have no money.
Makes sense. So yeah, that's.
We got nothing. We recorded yesterday, guys.
Yeah, so
we're back on it.
Too soon to tell.
Too soon to tell. Oh, I think Frances did say something. She doesn't believe in possessions, but she does believe in alien abductions. Which I just can't stand for. I don't stand for it. Are you reading it?
I'm reading the thing you sent me.
What thing? Oh, on Instagram.
Yeah. It's been a while since our stay.
The hotel we stayed at when we went to
LA.
Los Angeles texted us today to say that they would really like us to come back now that we're celebrities. Should we just get started?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Like I said last week, this is not a full-on crime.
Yeah, what are we doing today? I don't remember.
River Phoenix. I'm talking about River Phoenix today, gang.
I don't know.
Because it's something that I really wanted to know about, so I thought, like, perhaps you guys would too.
That's how I felt about Martha Stewart.
And if not, my bad, but we're doing it anyway. Just let me know for next time. Which I still...
It'll be too late, and we'll still keep doing what we want, but...
Really putting the almost in almost true crime podcast these days. What?
Nothing.
You made a face.
I was just like taking in the taste of
enjoying our twisted tea. Someone left a case of twisted teas at my house.
Dude, a fucking Christmas morning for me.
We have been tearing it the fuck up.
I always forget. Like, it's just not something. I mean, it's a kind of a low alcohol content. What is that? 5%?
It's 5%. That's normal.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know.
They sell twisted tea in like a box, like twisted tea.
I know. I should just have that in my fridge.
I feel like I would
fuck it up.
Yeah, like it would be
I've
dangerous.
only gotten like truly drunk on just twisted tea.
Twisted tweez.
I malfunctioned. A twisted tea is like twice. But let me tell you, it's a fun drunk.
What can go wrong?
It's just...
Probably a lot, I guess, but...
It's just such a summer drink.
It is.
In the fall, I think I'm going to mix twisted tea with, like, crown apple.
Ooh.
Or, like, something like that.
That sounds good.
Or twisted tea with, like, crown peach.
Ooh.
Like original twisted tea. Some ice.
I like the idea of that.
Me too.
I could get down with that.
Yeah.
Feeling it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can get started.
Okay.
I like that we say, well, let's get started, and then people know that there is probably a few minutes of things that are unrelated. Okay, anyways, I'm doing the death of River Phoenix today. So, Arlen, who is River's mom.
Great uncle.
Arlen?
Yes.
Wow, what a trendy-ass name. Arlen. She was born in the Bronx to Jewish parents who had emigrated from Russia. In the late 60s, she got wind of the counterculture movement that was spreading across America and set off on a voyage of discovery. Which, I mean, if America was ever appealing, it was definitely at this time.
When you were escaping, like, you know,
war.
Actual violence.
Yeah. So she left her job in Manhattan and also left her husband. Oh, wait, I don't know why I acted like she came here from Russia. But anyway, I worded that kind of weird.
Her family came from Russia. She was here.
Yes.
Okay.
In the late 60s, she left her job in Manhattan and also left her husband. Good for her.
Love to see it.
You do. While she was hitchhiking in Northern California, a young songwriter called John Bottom picked her up. The two were married within the year.
John Bottom.
Not a great name. Not a great name.
Not great. Mr. Bottom.
Complete opposite of Arlen. In 1973, just after River and Rain were born, they joined a religious sect called the Children of God, for which they worked as missionaries, supporting themselves by fruit picking and other odd jobs. It's exactly what you think it is. It was a laid-back, free-spirited. I'm trying to read ahead
River
and
and
see
Rain.
Yes, River, Phoenix, Rain. Rain sometimes goes by Rainbow, just so you know. I don't think I ever refer to her like this.
Wait,
like that
whose children are these?
Arlen and John Bottom.
And John Bottom. Okay.
They had River and Rain, and then they joined this Children of God. So it was a laid-back, free-spirited, hippie existence. Children of God was a Christian cult that believed, among other things, that sex without boundaries was a form of love.
Oh.
Rose McGowan was also raised in this cult, which I thought was weird because I've never heard of it. This cult ends up being very problematic. It was led by a man named David Berg, and it would later become infamous for its widespread sexual abuse, especially of children. Arlen said later, the guy running it got crazy. He sought to attract rich disciples through sex. No way. They stayed put in a hut on the beach and waited for guidance from a universal being in which they still had faith. So they're like, we don't really believe in this anymore, but there's something out there that's going to tell us what to do next. Mm-hmm. They're waiting for that. Each of their children was born in a different American state, and much of their early life was spent on the road. So they did have 3 more children, Joaquin, Liberty, and Summer. Joaquin, obviously, Joaquin Phoenix, goes by Leaf for a brief period of time.
What?
Yes. Which I wouldn't bring up, but when everything happens, he's actively going by the name Leaf. So if you look this up, it'll say Leaf Phoenix. That's Joaquin. Because I was like, where's this other kid? But no, it was just, he just decided to go rogue for like a hot second. Mm-hmm. And that was his own doing, I believe. He was born Joaquin. He switched to Leaf. He probably felt fucking weird. Yeah. Rain, River, Summer, Joaquin. He's like,
what the fuck?
Did you like run out of cool?
What do you mean?
Names? Obviously, he eventually switched back to his birth name of Joaquin, but does go by Leaf for a hot second. Then, in 1979, after the birth of their last child, things took a slightly different course. Arlen and John ditched their ordinary Old Bottom as a surname and picked Phoenix, with its connotations of a magical bird rising up out of the ashes. So this is a family name that they have chosen. It's not like when one person gets famous and changes their name. They all change their name to Phoenix.
That's kind of cool, though.
It's kind of cool. They're like...
It's a lot better than Bottom.
Yeah.
Joaquin Bottom.
That's not an Oscar winner.
No, that's not.
No one wants to engrave that.
On a star.
Joaquin Bottom. No. Yeah, so they all changed their name to Phoenix.
Solid choice. Maybe the best choice they've made thus far.
I agree. I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah.
They moved to LA, where Arlen got a job as a secretary with a casting agent at NBC, right in the heart of the Hollywood talent pool, and they embarked on a course that would set about turning their children into stars, which I think is so weird. How do you go? No, but specifically this family. How do you go
from being hippy dippies to wanting to be in
superstars like we're in Hollywood? So weird.
It seems like that would be something they would be like fully against.
Yes.
The two don't align.
That was very baffling to me.
They're like, you know what? This other way is not working. Yeah. Let's redo it.
I'm like, I could see if one of them was like, I want to do this. And that's still a little weird. But for the parents to be like, we're all moving. We're all going to do this. Very weird to me. Okay, now I'm going to get into River's personal background. River Jude Bottom was born on August 23rd, 1970, in a log cabin in Madras, Oregon. While working as missionaries for the controversial group, the family shuttled between Texas, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. As for River, he often played guitar and sang on the streets for money. As a young entertainer, he was also expected to pass out information about the Children of God group. This is right around the same age where River Phoenix later testified that he was sexually abused. He used the word rape, so I will also use the word rape. He said that he was raped at the age of 4 within the group, which is crazy. This is why this group was fucking terrible. All 5 siblings were signed up to an agent. Schooling became a jumble of tutoring on film sets, home teaching, and stints in traditional classrooms, and their careers began. There was also some conflicting information. I read that River had never went to school, so I'm not sure how much schooling the Phoenix children got.
Yeah.
But we can assume, at least for the older siblings, it was not a lot of traditional schooling.
Correct.
Maybe that's what because I don't think you can work and not go to school in Hollywood. I think, like, you have to.
Yeah.
Or they, like, will have to fire you.
Right. I feel like it's like that with, like, regular jobs.
Yeah.
Like
you can't
children
just not
have
go to
to
school.
go to school. It, like, is a law.
It's, like, easier to get away with, I guess, when they were, like, living in a hut.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now they have people looking at them, like, you got to do something.
Right.
So, I'm sure he had some schooling. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it wasn't a lot, but some places say, like, he had never got any schooling. Nothing was off limits apart from commercials for meat, milk, and junk food, because they were vegans. Which, actually, the children decided, after seeing some fishermen out on a boat, and, like, the fish just, like, flopping all around.
They're like the same for me.
Yeah. It was Rain, River, and Joaquin who approached her parents, and they just declared, like, they were just like, we're vegan now. And everyone was like, okay.
Okay.
Rain did an interview, which is where some of this stuff comes from. Her interview was mostly about herself, so not a lot, but she did say, like, it was them who approached their parents and was like, we saw some fucked up shit, and I really don't, we're not going to do this anymore.
Fair enough.
The family continued to thrive on veganism and the avoidance of modern medicine. Yeah. Arlen later...
Lost me there.
Yeah. Arlen later said, I've refused to have them inoculated. I've never given them an aspirin. If some awful illness happened in our family, then I'd look at it as a challenge to heal ourselves with herbs and spiritual enlightenment. Which you just can't do.
That's how people die.
Yeah, you're going to die. You're not going to make it. There's a reason.
There's modern medicine for a reason.
Yeah. There's a reason life expectancy was like 40 years old back then. It's because they weren't taking fucking medicine.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So the early 80s were full of odd jobs, it sounded like, for everyone. River was in plenty of commercials and small TV shows. Like, the list is very long. It's not worth it. Then in 1986, River got his first huge role in Rob Reiner's movie Stand By Me, which is now a classic.
Oh.
Are you familiar with the film?
I've never watched it, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Huge.
Yes.
Also, Rob Reiner plays Jessica Day's dad in New Girl.
That's so funny.
Isn't that funny? I just thought that was kind of funny. I can't picture him because I was introduced to him fully, for the most part, as Jessica Day's dad. I can't picture him directing Stand By Me.
That's so funny sometimes, but that's like seeing Schmidt in Promising Young Woman. Yeah. He is straight up psycho. He's played a psycho multiple times, though. Yeah. I just saw something else where he was like a bad guy. I'm like,
so weird. Reiner's unexpected hit was a turning point for Phoenix professionally and personally. It was on this film he later claimed that he lost his virginity.
How old was he?
Young. Not too young, but he was younger. Corey Feldman, who was also in Stand By Me, says...
Oh,
he comes up later, too.
Yeah, he really had
a rough go of it.
Fucking life.
Yeah. He said, I smoked pot on that film for the first time, and I drank for the first time ever, so we all definitely did a lot of growing up. He remembers watching River change, becoming an artist, becoming more self-indulgent. And he remembers a press tour after he said, I went to his room and I saw a joint. And he said, River was like, oh, that's someone else's. And Corey's like, well, I had been doing it too, because it's like, it was like just one of those things where they didn't want each other to know they were doing those types of things yet, which becomes a theme in River's life. Phoenix's performance in Stand By Me was a revelation. Slightly chubby-faced, mouth turned down at the corners like an apprentice, like De Niro. The Washington Post wrote that Phoenix gave Stand By Me its center of gravity. Peter Weir, who would go on to direct the next film River was in, said that he was good. He was obviously going to be a star. After Stand By Me, River starred in Mosquito Coast as Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren's son.
Love Helen Mirren.
Same. Treasure. Weir made his judgment on the unedited film, The Dailies Coming Back from America to the Mosquitoes Coast location, Belize. He said, people who know film, me, Harrison Ford, my wife, could see that River had something else. He said when a big close-up would come on the screen, it's like when you were a kid and you went to a film and you couldn't keep your eyes off of a character. It's something apart from the acting ability. Mm-hmm. He said Laurence Olivier never had what River had. And Laurence Olivier was a very famous actor in the 1940s. He had like 13 Oscar nominations. So he's saying, like, this kid was for real.
He had something. He had a gift.
It was also around this time he started dating his co-star, Martha Plimpton, which would go on for several years. Martha Plimpton is from this very funny sitcom that we used to watch, which we are literally rewatching right now. So when I read this, it blew my mind. what is it called? Hope something? My mom's going to, we call it Hope, but that's not what it is. But she's from the Goonies. She's the blonde girl. You've never watched the Goonies?
No, I get yelled at all the time for it, dude. I know. I just have never sat down and watched it. I mean, I know what it's about. Do I really need to watch it?
I guess not. You don't have to.
Raising Hope?
Yes, Raising Hope. It's so funny. They're like a very trashy family. It's very good. Anyways, that's where I knew her from. So when I was like, because in my head, like, her name's Virginia. Virginia Slim. She was named after a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, that's good.
I'm like, Virginia Slim dated River Phoenix. My mom's like, she was in the Goonies. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Corey Feldman was in the Goonies, so they were all hanging out.
I definitely see her, though, like, in other stuff.
Also, there's a lot of work going on in the basement today, so if you hear anything, we can't help it.
Studio's under construction.
Martha Plimpton said, once when we were 15, River and I went out for a fancy dinner in Manhattan, so he was younger than 15. I knew his age came up sometime. And Martha said, I ordered soft shell crabs, and River left the restaurant and walked around on Park Avenue crying. She said, I went out and he said, I love you so much. Why would you do this? She said he had such a pain that I was eating an animal that he hadn't impressed me on what was right. So she's saying, like, he was so disappointed in himself for not telling her how wrong it is to eat animals.
Oh, Jesus.
She said, I loved him for that, for his dramatic desire that we share every belief that I be with him all the way.
Oh, God. Count me out.
Yeah, no. I would like to eat a steak.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not the greatest.
No, but
we have bigger problems. Private jets are taking 30-minute trips. I can eat a steak and use a plastic straw.
Yeah.
Quit fucking with me. Taco Bell, put my liquid cheese back in a plastic cup. I'm fucking sick of the cardboard. Like, we could do this. Why don't we cut down on, like, private jets and shit? So after that movie, he did a comedy, which he was just not pleased with. He said he didn't like his performance, and he said he probably should not have even gotten the role. I don't think he did very many comedies. He seemed like a very serious type of actor. He did another movie, Nikita, after that. He was around 18, and his family had moved over 40 times. River then purchased his family a ranch in McCanopy, Florida, near Gainesville in 1987, which, Gainesville. Ripper. In addition to a house in Costa Rica. And I believe the family relocated to the Florida ranch at that time and, like, spent the rest of their time there. Mm-hmm. They, like, really settled down. His sixth feature film was Sidney Lumet's Running on Empty, about a family on the run from the FBI for an anti-war bombing the parents had participated in years earlier. This earned him his first Oscar nomination, at the time making him the sixth youngest person to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
Wild.
That's insane.
Famous. Talented. Had it all. He used his press interviews to speak with much seriousness about food and animals and the global ecological issues. He would make long speeches, and his questions after a while would try to bring the subject back to girls and hairdos and Oscars. So I'm sure they were like, let's...
We don't care.
It's like, no, this is what we will be talking about.
Good for him.
Which notably we saw happen when Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar and started talking about beef and milk and stuff.
Oh, gosh. That was...
something else.
That was something else.
River did not necessarily love fame per se, but he saw it as a way to educate people on his passions and try and change the world. In 1990, River starred in the film My Private Idaho with Keanu Reeves, Van Sant's film about Mike Waters and Scott Favor, two street hustlers who travel to Idaho and Italy looking for Mike's mother.
I love Keanu Reeves.
So do I.
Especially after Always Be My Maybe.
I know.
It's so funny.
What a great cameo.
I know.
He was like, perfectly used.
Keanu
made me look at him in a different way.
I know. I'm like, wait.
Are you a heartthrob?
Do I? I've never really given him a second thought. I've always heard he's a really nice guy and really normal.
I also heard that.
He's really big into, like, donating his things.
And he dates age-appropriate people. Yeah. Sidebar. Did you see the Dane Cook stuff going around?
No, what's going on with Dane Cook?
Well, Dane Cook is 50 years old. Okay, whatever.
Is he 50?
Yeah, we've reached this. Dane Cook's 50. It was like he proposed to his girlfriend of his 23-year-old girlfriend of 5 years. Cycle back the math on that. She was
wait a second here
18 when they started dating, which I don't believe.
Like 42.
Yeah, dating an 18-year-old, which I'm not buying it.
No,
they didn't meet at this age. He was
creeping.
Yeah, when she was underage. They should have just left the 5 years out.
Yeah,
when they made this statement, they should have been like, can you please exclude how long we have been dating?
Yes.
But then sometimes they don't say 5 years, but they say longtime girlfriend, and then I'm like, 23, longtime girlfriend. Like,
how long, buddy?
I need the math on this.
So they did the math.
They won't
like,
say 5 years.
Yeah. How long has this been legal for?
Yeah, let's say 5. Anyway.
That was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Keanu Reeves is dating like a woman who is
Dane
his
Cook,
own age.
I have seen pictures of him recently. He's definitely getting stuff done to his face.
Oh, yeah.
Like
he looks more normal now than he did a few years ago. Like, he
really?
did some shit.
Okay.
He looked like my favorite movie, just go with it. The very beginning when Adam Sandler's at that plastic surgeon house and his face is like frozen and his drinks are falling out of his mouth. That's what he looked like. I mean, get all the work you want.
Was in that one movie with
Jessica Alba.
Good Luck, Chuck.
Yes.
Dane Cook. What are you doing?
I don't know.
You're not an actor.
No, and why did he get all that fucking work?
I know.
Get all the work done you want.
Because he had this young girlfriend. He was feeling self-conscious.
But he had to look in the mirror at one point and be like, this has gotten out of control.
This is doing more harm than good.
Yes. Whatever. Anyway, Keanu Reeves.
That's where this was. God.
So, during Idaho's filming in the fall of 1999, cast and crew members, including Phoenix and Keanu Reeves, slept on scattered futons in Van Sant's house. It was a college dorm, a tribe, a family. Van Sant,
Okay, did you watch Degrassi?
Yes.
Liberty Van Sant?
Yes.
That's what this reminds me of.
But it's spelled like S-A-N-T.
Okay, so it's not the same.
Not the same. They're not related.
Okay. Thank God.
So whoever did this interview, I can't remember, said that Van Sant showed me his garage, and it was like a party. I think like the Red Hot Chili Peppers were playing in this garage. Like, it was not a casual set in the slightest. It was also around this time Corey Feldman started reaching out to River. At this point, Corey Feldman had already been arrested for drugs in 1989. It was big news.
Yeah.
It made him happy that it was really only River who publicly spoke out in sympathy for Corey Feldman. I mean, it was not a good look for Corey Feldman. No one was out there publicly sticking up for him.
But now that you know what you know, God, I feel so bad for him.
I know.
He had a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah. River Phoenix did an interview with People magazine and said like very nice things about him still.
That's good.
So Corey started hearing rumors that River was using drugs, which I do believe this is the first time River started doing drugs. Like, some people say that, but like, he had been doing drugs for years. I truly think this was like when he just started really doing drugs. Because I read an article about the movies he was previously in, and those people said he was definitely drinking, but he was not doing drugs. Like, they were like, this wasn't like a long thing. Mm-hmm. So Corey was watching clips from the film and looking at the pictures and interviews with him, and the way that he was talking and the way that he was acting, Corey Feldman said, I presumed it to be true that he was doing drugs. Like, I could tell he was doing drugs. Later, a friend who had worked with River told him specific details about, he told Corey Feldman specific details about River doing drugs. So Corey finally made a call to him. He said, I thought maybe he could take a hint. He basically said, my life is great. I've gotten clean. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing? Just like, how are you doing? I'm sober. I'm doing great. I'm doing it. And he said that River was just in a lot of denial. He was like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Like, he didn't even hint at it at all. Corey said that he didn't broach the subject. He left a number. A week later, River called him. He said, I believe it was his way of seeking help. He left a message saying, please call me as soon as you can. By the time Corey called him, he was back in denial. But he said, I believe there was a brief moment when maybe something I said had affected him. And he was like ready to get help. Mm-hmm. But, like, when you miss that window, it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Addicts have brief moments of clarity. And then it's like,
never mind.
No, never mind. The truth of what happened on My Own Private Idaho is not known. Nobody from that film, including director Gus Van Sant, will talk to the press about it. But everyone in the film business had now started to hear rumors. These suggest that River's heroin use began then, and began as a professional experiment as much as a social one to help generate what turned out to be a brilliant portrait of a narcoleptic, gay, drug-using prostitute in the movie.
Wow.
So they're thinking, like,
method acting.
Yeah, he's like, maybe I should try it to see what this would actually do.
It's really which is how your craft seriously.
You get addicted to drugs.
Correct.
My Own Private Idaho was an intense collective experience. When it was over, co-star Keanu Reeves said, I was introduced to so many elements through the guy I was playing. It was rich. It was bottomless. You could go as far as you could go, which leads me to believe.
Yeah.
Phoenix was into the mechanics of spiking or shooting up heroin, allegedly, because that never comes up again. I don't think he ever did drugs like that. We'll never know. It is alleged that now that his family was settled, both financially and literally for the first time and basically ever, they're like living at home. He has made enough money where like they're all fine. And now that his older siblings, Rain and Joaquin, were working more regularly, I say older, like older as a set. They're not older than him.
Right.
And when I wrote that, I was like, they aren't his older siblings. But they're not Summer and Liberty, who are still young.
Correct.
Anyway, Rain and Joaquin were working more regularly, and he didn't really have to be the breadwinner anymore. He's like, everyone's bringing a lot more to the table. So they think that, like, something in him possibly shifted to sort of try and get his adolescence back that he didn't have. So he got more moody and dark after that movie. He was still very charming and polite, people said, but you could just sort of see a shift in his whole character. They said his character, Mike Waters, really left an impression on him, or more of like a shadow or smudge. Like,
can happen.
It really marked the beginning of a struggle in Phoenix's life between his like drug friends and his sober friends, and like between his urge to party and not party, and his urge to help the addicted and his urge to help himself. Like, basically this character, literally like the Joker.
Yeah.
For
Heath
Ledger. God.
Yes, Heath Ledger.
I couldn't get Joaquin Phoenix on my head, but like, that's not correct. But yeah, they say like it stayed with him.
Yeah.
Unverified tales of drugged, difficult behavior came from the set of Peter Bogdanovich's The Thing Called Love, in which Phoenix starred with Samantha Mathis, in which, before his death, was only given a tiny theatrical release in the United States. The screenwriter of that movie said that people around him were not saying no to him. Said, I think the best thing that could have happened to River is that somebody fired him. If he was working drugged, he should have been told there are limits and you can't do this here. But I think he was good enough. He was a good enough actor to probably con his way out of these situations.
Right.
Which is true. You're not going to fire River Phoenix. River Phoenix, I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio would even be famous if River Phoenix did not die. Like, he was...
that niche.
Yeah. You should look up pictures of him. He looks like that. He's got, like, the beautiful hair. No one's telling him no. They're not firing him from their movies. Which is where was all those fucking wrong. Amanda Bynes, like, no one's telling these people no.
They're just letting them do their own thing.
Yeah. Phoenix's drug use wasn't ruining his acting, but one producer who weighed working with him in 1992 decided that he was largely unreliable. He, like, weighed his options. He's like, it's not ruined, but, like, we can't really count on you. Like, you're showing up whenever you're showing up. Like, it's... And there were 2 days filming The Thing in Nashville that fall when director Paul Bogdanovich said the feeling was that he had taken something. I wasn't sure if he could drive the truck in the scene. Like, he was that bad. Like, I don't even know if he could legally do this. Phoenix was insulted and told him that this is bullshit. I had half a beer and a cold pill, which I'm assuming is like a cold. Yeah. Some of the rumors about River's behavior on that set are attributable to his lazy eye. He said when he flutter blinked to his center iris, he looked under the influence. That said, he was under the influence.
Correct.
But he's saying, like, it just looks like it because sometimes my eye does this weird thing. Which I'm sure is true, but, like, when you hear that from someone you know is doing drugs, you're like, this is sad.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're doing drugs. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who was also in recovery and was not doing drugs with River, spoke to him that Christmas. So this is 1992, I think. And so did Bobby Bukowski after River came over one morning, still high on heroin and cocaine.
Who's Bobby Bukowski?
I don't know if I know the answer to that question.
I feel like we've said his name before.
In a crime?
Bobby Bukowski.
Did he participate in Molly's Game? It's the only, like, through way I can find that would connect the two.
Maybe I'm thinking of Bobby Beausoleil.
What's that from?
Manson.
Oh, that's right. Probably. So they're saying after River came over to their house one morning, still high, Bukowski waited until River had taken a nap and eaten, like, one of his weird fucking...
Vegan?
Yeah. That he used to cleanse his system. They said that they gently confronted him after that. Bukowski said, I'd rather you just point a gun at your head and pull the trigger. I want to see you become an old man so we can be old friends together. He said that River wept. He said, "That's the end of the drugs. He promised, I don't want to go to a place that's so dark it'll annihilate me."
Oh, gosh.
I know, it's awful, God. For several months afterward, River would sometimes call Bukowski for support when he felt the urge to get high. But in January of 1993, their mom changes their name to Hart at a certain point. Arlen to Hart.
She just can't. She can't decide who she wants to be.
No. Arlen Bottom, Arlen Phoenix, Hart Phoenix. Okay.
Arlen is a good
It's a great name.
Why would you? Whatever.
It fit the vibe of what she was going for. Okay. I was like, But in January, Hart noticed that he'd become distant. Phoenix had striven mightily to keep his drug use from her, and he largely succeeded. But this time she realized that a substance might be involved. So she asked him, and he denied it, obviously. Samantha Mathis, who I mentioned earlier as his co-star in The Thing Called Love, would go on to date him until his death. So she did an interview with The Guardian in 2018, which is like her first interview that she did. She said, "When we met, we were both 19, and he bummed a cigarette off me in an LA club. She said, this sounds incredibly cheesy, but I knew I would be with him one day. It just felt fated between us, and there was such chemistry." They wouldn't end up dating until 3 years after that, when they met on the set of that movie.
Wow.
Is that wild?
Worlds colliding.
Worlds colliding. She said, "I think we recognized something in each other." Mathis had been raised by a single mother and had been acting since she was a teenager also. She said, "We came from very different families, but perhaps there were some broken parts in each other we recognized. We found safe harbor."
So romantic.
Isn't it?
I want a tortured love.
You're toxic.
I am. I know. I really am. I'm in a fully happy marriage.
You are. You're like, you want something dark and seedy.
Dark and twisty romance.
Read a book, something.
I know.
Get your outlet. At parties, confident of an audience, he would just play his guitar. He wouldn't play any songs he knew but his own compositions, original songs, which no one wants to hear at a party. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're River Phoenix. Nobody wants to hear an original when they're trying to vibe.
No.
Don't be that person. If you're listening, don't do it.
No.
Play something the crowd wants to hear. Covers only. But like, he was allowed to. No one ever said like, dude.
River Phoenix, what are you going to do?
Nothing. At like a very fancy ass wedding, at which even the Red Hot Chili Peppers all wore tuxedos, Phoenix turned up with a bottle of wine, tennis shoes, ripped shorts, and a dirty t-shirt.
Oh, no. Bad wedding etiquette.
Unforgivable.
I can't do it. Let me tell you.
Just no one is telling him no. He's doing whatever he wants. And I think even if someone told him no, then he just wouldn't do it. It's not like he would be like, okay, I'll wear a tuxedo. He'd be like, okay, then I'm not going.
Right.
I just think he was very confident in what he wanted and what he wanted to do. But no one was ever like, you should reflect. He's River Phoenix. You're not going to fucking do that. Yep. And the drugs.
Man, tale as old as time these days.
Literally.
To step in.
Nope. It's too late. Brittany. All these girls.
Dude.
Well, Brittany's different. Her family was always crazy.
Brittany is different, but
like Lindsay Lohan, like no one's telling them no.
I know.
They have all this money from when they were kids. I mean, no one's telling them no when they're kids because
like
their parents want their money.
Your brain is still developing, and then it gets all fucked up.
Yeah,
because they're not being raised properly or taught properly.
They're being used for money. No one's going to say, like, Lindsay, you can't do this movie because you're acting like an asshole. Her parents are like, do 5 more because we need your money.
Yeah. Wild.
Not good.
They let them act like tiny adults.
Yeah. Which isn't exactly the case here. But he was just so good, so handsome. No one.
Yeah.
He flew right under that. Like, no one is telling him no. And the drugs, it's not clear how much heroin, if any, really he was taking, but he was certainly going through a lot of cocaine. Everyone's like, we knew that. The heroin thing is sort of like, not so sure. That we're very sure of. One person who was sort of a witness or participant in this is Charles Milne, not his real name. He did an interview under this fake name. He told The Independent, or someone who told The Independent. I don't know if he did this interview or someone did this interview saying they knew this. Told a lot about this. So he met River Phoenix in early 1993. He never knew him well, but for a while they were coke friends together. The first time, River turned up barefoot at his house looking for a mutual friend who wasn't there. River was nervous, but he stayed. He said that we snorted a couple lines of coke. I don't know what he was on when he got there. You could never tell. But he did always look a little more deranged than the rest of us who were just doing coke. They're like, we're all doing the same things. You look a little off. You look different.
Yeah.
But they never knew what he was doing because he was very secretive about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Corey Feldman caught him with a joint in a hotel room. He's like, no. Yeah. He's very much that person.
Yeah.
They stayed up all night doing line after line.
That means he knows it's bad.
Exactly. He knows he's doing something that he should not be doing.
Yeah.
Phoenix had Samantha Mathis' car with him, and he was careful to park around back so like no one would see him. And then he left in the morning to take part in some anti-marijuana event.
Okay. Well, I have issue with that.
Like, own it.
Come on. You
don't have to be anti-anything. You can just not say anything.
Yeah.
Why are you actively going to an anti-marijuana event? I don't believe it.
Don't like that.
Over the next weeks, they spent some quality drug time together. Charles would
quality drug time.
Just casual. Charles would call River at the St. James Club, a grand white 1930s apartment turned hotel, which River liked all the time. River did not have a home in Los Angeles. So he's staying there, but he doesn't have anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
So he stays at this hotel. Charles would meet and ask for Earl Grey, a code name that got him through to River's suite, which I just love a fake name at a hotel. I love it.
Yes, Earl Grey.
They're like, oh, River Phoenix. That's so cool
funny
to me. So they would meet, drink vodka, snort cocaine, and freebase cocaine.
What does that mean? What does it mean when you freebase? Freebase.
Your search history. How to freebase cocaine.
Oh, it's just pure cocaine.
Oh.
Freebasing, is it the same as smoking crack? It's a process that can increase the potency of a substance. So you like break it down.
Okay.
The term is typically used in reference to cocaine that was possible. Due to its chemical structure, cocaine can't be heated and smoked. Freebasing alters its structure in a way that makes it both smokable and more potent. So you're doing something to make it.
Okay. So they meet at this hotel. They do all this stuff. Freebase cocaine, which is apparently a thing. Charles said he had just come off location of a film. He was buying 2 8-balls of cocaine a day.
What the fuck's an 8-ball?
2 8s of an ounce. I don't know. The article says it's a lot, and I am inclined to believe them. I mean, a day, they say 2 8s of an ounce, so maybe an 8-ball is 1/8 of an ounce. That probably makes sense. 8-ball, 1/8 of an ounce.
I feel like an ounce is not that much.
I don't know. They say it's a lot. He would go on 10-day binges and end them with the liquid drug GHB, gamma hydroxybutyric acid.
Jesus Christ.
Much discussed in reports.
How do you go on a 10-day binge of cocaine and not have a heart attack?
Literally heart attack. Or like end up in jail or hospital from like a mental breakdown from not sleeping.
Yeah, and not eating.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's insane.
So he said like the GHB, like you would take a capful or 2. Eventually your eyes started going in different directions. You would lose control of them. He said, I never actually saw River take it, but it was pretty widely used. Spectator columnist Taki described Rivers' visit to an actress friend of his earlier that year, and his account includes Phoenix's use of GHB as well as cocaine and morphine. So it's not just him saying this, like other people had seen River doing all this stuff.
So crazy.
Another friend of Rivers, also English, who had known him for 3 or 4 years, said that Rivers' partying had taken on a whole new speed in the early part of 1993. He has no idea why. Certainly, River could keep up with Charles' cocaine consumption, and he had a tendency to drift off to the bathroom quite a bit. He said, I remember once right out of the blue, he said, I took this pill, that's why I'm sweating. And he said he was thinking, like, that's very suspicious, because I didn't even ask you why you're sweating. Like, why are you telling me why you're sweating? You're doing drugs. Like, that's why you're sweating. Ew. He's like, what are you trying to cover up? Which is just so sad. He said he even, like, confronted him a couple times, like, are you doing heroin? Like, what are you doing? And River would never. He'd like, don't be ridiculous. Like, that's absolutely out of the question.
Don't be ridiculous.
They're like, okay, well, we're all doing illegal drugs together.
So
you look worse than the rest of us.
That's so crazy. Like, he just refused
to
admit
acknowledge
it.
Yeah. There are still debates about the extent of River's drug use. Charles, who said all that stuff, and Corey Feldman call him an addict. They very firmly state he is an addict. They were in
like an addict. Correct.
They were in recovery, though, which I think is very much recovery language. Like, you are an addict. Like, they feel very strongly about this. They know the sign. They know how addicts act. However, one of the doctors who was working with River at the same time said that he wouldn't call him an addict. She said as far as she knew, he was clean living, which, I mean, if you're able to even look normal at work, it's not as bad as what people have been saying.
That's like functioning alcoholism.
Yeah.
You can be a functioning drug addict.
Yeah. So it's very...
Yeah.
We'll never know. His colleague, Stephen Woolley, said he was the executive producer on Dark Blood and is also the producer of Interview with a Vampire, in which River was cast in.
Interview with a Vampire.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. He
said that he thinks River's death was recreational drug use gone appallingly wrong. Mm-hmm. He said most people between the ages of 18 and 25 take drugs. He says River's very inexperience, he suggests, could have contributed to his fatal reaction, which is true. If you don't normally do drugs, you do too many drugs one time, you're going to die.
Correct.
Because you don't do drugs.
Right.
But it's
like a shock to your system.
Yeah. So let's get into what happened, because that does sort of come up of why...
Is that why you won't take your edibles?
I won't. If I take, like, a NyQuil, I text my mom, like, can I take a melatonin now, too? Or no. Like, if I won't take Tylenol and something else, because, like, you're not supposed to take, like, 2 acetaminophen medications at one time. I
just throw caution to the wind.
No.
Hope for the best.
You should ask my mom when we leave the last time I've mixed 2 over-the-counter medication. I won't do it.
Oh my God. If I have a cold, I will take NyQuil, ibuprofen, vitamin D, a Claritin.
What? That's probably why I had COVID so bad, because I wouldn't take the medicine.
Dude, I will take anything within arm's reach to not be sick.
No, because I'm too scared I will die.
No.
And it'll be very embarrassing. I died from a toxic mix of Tylenol, arthritis, and ibuprofen. Like, I don't know. I won't do it. It terrifies
so funny.
me. Okay, let's get into what happened.
Okay.
Because we know River was doing drugs, so it's very weird for them to say, like, maybe he wasn't doing drugs and that's why he died. That's not what happened. So, in a letter published in the Los Angeles Times on November 24th, this one of the people working with him wrote that River was not a regular drug user. He lived at home in Florida. Oh, this is his mom. Why didn't I put that in here? River was not a regular drug user. He lived at home in Florida with us and was almost never a part of the club scene in Los Angeles. He had just arrived in LA from the pristine beauty and quietness of Utah, where he was filming for 6 weeks. We feel that the excitement and energy of the Halloween nightclub and party scene were way beyond his usual experience and control. So, Phoenix was clean and focused in Utah that summer. He was in love with Samantha Mathis, who he puppishly pursued during the thing called love, telling friends that his head was going to pop off if he didn't get to hold her hand. And he had finally started sifting through his anger and his own fault lines. His friends agree that he was strong enough to reemerge and that he was not lost, like Jim Morrison or John Belushi. Okay, so they're basically saying at this very awful moment that, like, he's going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, he has made it out the other side. He's not one of those people who, I mean, the people who have died from drugs, like, you can tell they were headed that way.
Right.
I feel like he's not one of those people. River, looking very thin, gave his last interview. He said that the journalist said that he was extremely polite, considerate, looking you in the eye. He spoke indistinctly about the plight of Native Americans and the wickedness of nuclear testing. So he's still doing his shit.
Still on his shit.
Still doing it. Location work over, River came back to Los Angeles to start on scenes set inside the hut where the boy lived. He was put up in the Nico Hotel on La Cienega Boulevard.
La Cienega. Proud family.
Proud family, that's all I think of. It was a big Japanese business hotel with a waterfall and, like, marble, just like whatever you picture, like, swanky shit to be. He worked on the Saturday, but he had Sunday off, so he was going to have some fun.
Sunday fun day, am I right?
On the
Can
night...
I get a hell yeah?
On the night of October 30th, creeping into October 31st, in LA, friends were called at the hotel, drinks were ordered, there were reports of, like, a commotion on the way out, like, they were partying. Then, Samantha and River drove Joaquin and Rain to the Viper Room, which we talked about, Molly's Game. One of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Samantha thought they were there only to drop off Joaquin and Rain. But when we arrived, he said to her, there are some people playing music tonight in the club who want me to play with them. That's okay, right? She said she did not want to stay at all. She had thought this whole time that they were going back to her house. She said, I knew something was wrong that night, something I didn't understand. I didn't see anyone doing drugs, but he was high in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. She said I was in way over my head. But she knew that he had wanted to stay and thought it wouldn't be long because, like, he had left a bunch of shit in her car. Mm-hmm. So she's like, it's not going to be that bad. 45 minutes later, he dies.
Oh, my God. He died at the Viper Room? Mm-hmm. What?
When Samantha came out of the bathroom, she saw what she thought was River in a fight with another man, and the two of them being pushed out of the club's side door by a bouncer. When she went out onto the street after them, she saw River drop to the ground and go into convulsions on the pavement. Thankfully, this was before the paparazzi had become so fucking awful.
Right.
But it also meant that...
Oh, my God, can you imagine?
Fuck no. It also meant that no one was around to help, because no one's doing shit like that. So Samantha shouted at the other man, what have you done? What are you on? The other man said, leave him alone. You're spoiling his high.
Oh, no.
Samantha desperately tried to get back into the club to get help, but the side door was...
Don't have cell phones.
Nothing. The side door was firmly shut, so she ran around to the main door, searched through the club for his siblings. Who was there?
Joaquin and Rain.
Joaquin and Rain. And they all ran outside. Ron Davis, who was a notable paparazzi man, but not paparazzi. He claims he always asks for permission, so he's not one of those people. Mm-hmm. He was outside. He saw the whole thing happen. He told The Independent around 1 a.m. the club's stage door opened. River Phoenix was carried out of the club by Samantha and Joaquin. Rain was walking behind them. He thought the man being carried was drunk. He said he was essentially liquid between them. He was totally jello. He had short black hair, black Converse sneakers, and jeans. He flopped to the ground and then started to have a violent seizure. The seizures are said to have started inside the club where Johnny Depp was playing on stage at the time, and River was supposed to be playing soon. Ed, the Viper's huge doorman, sunglasses at night, looks like the mountain man.
Yeah.
Had at some point been asked to ask River's friends to take him outside. There are stories of him like shouting inside and throwing up in the club. Whatever. Oh, water is said to have been splashed on his face. In one tabloid, River was alleged to have screamed, I'm gonna die, on his way out. When River first hit the ground, Ron said the doorman was saying, do something, call 911. The brother kept looking back at him and yelling, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. So Joaquin, they're alleging, is saying, like, we don't need to, it's all fine. There was a pause, and then a second seizure. Ron moved closer and saw how serious it was. He said his eyes were all back in his head, rolled, like, back beyond his eyelids. He was shaking and his arms were flailing around. Joaquin called an ambulance. Like all others, this 911 conversation was recorded and later made public. I didn't even attempt to look for it.
Yeah.
On the recording, he veers between a weepy, panicked rage and the kind of careful courtesy which was often noted in his brother. He ends the conversation by apologizing to the dispatcher for being so rude. They're saying, like, he was yelling so loud the tapes were distorted. Like, you couldn't even understand what he was saying. River Phoenix had about 5 seizures on the pavement outside of the Viper Room.
Oh, Jesus.
His arms were flying up and down and then stiff, said Davis, who took no photographs of this. Going up and down, he was banging his head. Rain laid on top of River, trying vainly to suppress the movements. After the 5th seizure, River went still. Rain laid on the pavement next to him. She was rubbing him, saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Captain Raymond River was in the 4-strong paramedic team that arrived about 5 minutes after the seizures had already stopped. His patient had no pulse and was not breathing. Close up, he already looked gray. The paramedics gave basic life support on the pavement, only now, obviously, a crowd has formed outside.
Right.
Then Phoenix was lifted into the ambulance. Just as about to pull away, Flea ran out of the club. Flea was also there that night. He tried to climb into the back of the ambulance. He was told to sit up front. Captain River, who kept working on Phoenix during the brief drive to Cedar Sinai, said he had no idea whoever Phoenix was. Mm-hmm. Phoenix had already flatlined by the time paramedics arrived and was pronounced dead at the hospital. The toxicological report was released on November 12th, and the police inquiry was closed. The coroner reports that there was morphine in River's body, thought to have been heroin when it entered his blood, which I don't know how that works.
I have no idea.
I don't know if chemically it changes and looks the same. I don't know. As well as cocaine, Valium, traces of marijuana, cold medication, and no alcohol.
Jeez.
Phoenix had taken so much cocaine and heroin that the coroner couldn't tell which drug had actually killed him. The coroner did say there were no needle marks on his body, so whatever killed him was ingested or inhaled. Officially, River Phoenix was declared dead at 1:51 a.m. on October 31st after 20 minutes in the emergency room of Cedar-Sinai Medical Center. But those who saw him outside of the Sunset Strip pavement have no real doubt that he died outside of the Viper Room.
Yeah.
This was obviously huge news. River was extremely famous. Other people, not as moved by River's passing. A Columbia executive told The Independent he took drugs, he's dead, end of story, serves him right. A young film producer says tiredly, those guys, they all look like scumbags. They lead seedy lives. They're all wackos. I can't say I'm surprised. Someone else called him an asshole. The nasty right-wing radio columnist Rush Limbaugh.
Ugh,
bitch.
God.
There were brief celebrations when this man died. Said on a show, you would have thought the president of the United States had been assassinated, that we've lost some great contributor to the social and human condition. This guy, look at his name, River Phoenix. He's the son of a couple of whacked out hippies.
What a fucker. Like, fuck you.
Don't pretend to don't know who River Phoenix is.
No one ever in your life became addicted to drugs.
I'm sure he knew people.
Fuck you.
And he's still acting like this.
I hate people like that.
So do I. Shut up.
It can happen to anyone.
Literally anyone. It doesn't matter.
No.
After River Phoenix's death, the Viper Room temporarily closed in his honor. Heartbroken fans soon flocked to the venue to leave flowers and handwritten tributes to the fallen actor.
Is the Viper Room still open now, though?
My one shot on Friday is all about the Viper Room, so I'll tell you all about it.
I think it is.
Though the nightclub eventually reopened, many regulars said that it was never the same. Phoenix's father was angry at, I don't bring this up, John Frusciante over his son's death. They were the ones who were doing drugs together after he got back from Utah. Mm-hmm. He might be in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In an interview, River's dad said, if I find him, I'm going to kill him. He's very rich, very young, 23 like River, but he's a terrible addict who'd become a pusher. The family never pressed charges against anyone. John was the one, John was the one River had been hanging out with in the days prior to his death. He was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and in a memoir, it stated that River and them had been doing drugs basically nonstop when River got back from Utah.
That's gotta be the hardest thing. Like, if someone you love dies,
and you see the
from
people
addiction,
they do drugs with,
you want to go after them.
Yeah.
But,
you can't.
You can't. It's crazy.
River was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at the family ranch in Micanopy, Florida. I believe his funeral was private. I tried to search for information about his funeral because it comes up later that there was a memorial service I was trying to get more information about. Mm-hmm. However, someone snuck into the funeral home and took a picture of River in his casket. So that's all that pops up when you look for this, which I don't want to see.
Nope.
And I said, why would you do that?
It's like when people pose with caskets.
Have
you seen that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Why? I can't. I've looked at a dead body in a casket one time, and I've refused to ever do it again.
I don't see the need.
No.
My therapist said it's fine. You don't have to do that.
I'll keep the memory I have of them.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with dead bodies.
No. It's fine if people need that for closure, but I'm not the one.
That's not the closure I need.
Me either. So if you try and look for information about River's funeral, you are going to see him in his casket. Mm-mm. However, like I said, from an old Esquire article I read, it seems that they did have some memorial services for him. Mm-hmm. So in 2 separate memorial services, both held outside on still days when everyone joined hands to think of Phoenix, the wind suddenly whipped up. He has often been in his friends' dreams, assuring them he is fine, though he seems quiet and sometimes melancholy. Hart, his mother, said, I'm still connected to his energy. When the wind blows, I see River. When the sun shines, I see River. When I look into someone's eyes and make a connection, I see River. To have death transformed into another way to look at life is a huge gift, or is his huge gift to her. Hart spoke at another memorial for him, holding Rob Reiner's hand for support. Her hopes for her son had always been on a wholly different plane than most other stage mothers. She said, we believed we could use the mass media to help change the world, and that River would be our missionary, which, like I said earlier, was sort of like their thing. Mm-hmm. She tried to explain that calling to the mourners, saying that she'd sensed from the beginning, as her labor extended to 3.5 days, that River didn't want to be in the world. She told how she had awoken 2 days after his death, understanding for the first time why dawn is called morning, and suddenly had a vision of how God had tried to convince River to be born one more time. River told God, I'd rather stay up here with you, so they bargained. Hart said, smiling, this is like at his memorial. She said that God was persuasive, and River offered to go for 5 years and 10, and finally agreed to visit Earth, but for only 23 years. So she's saying, like, I'm sure it makes her feel better. Like, maybe he didn't want to be here anyway.
Yeah.
A beautiful silence filled the room. One of the directors there said, I was shocked by how many strong grown-up people River had gotten to in such a deep emotional way. He said, we were all united. The room seemed almost hallucinatorily beautiful. Hart then invited others to speak. After a few further testimonials, director John Borman suddenly blurted out from the corner of the stage, is there anybody here who can tell us why River took all those drugs? River's younger sisters, Liberty and Summer, ran out. And then Samantha Mathis, Phoenix's girlfriend, like I said, and co-star of his last completed movie, spoke from the front row for the first time. She said River was a sensitive, she said with great tenderness, using the word as a noun. He had so much compassion for everyone and everything that he had a weight on his heart. She paused and added that River was obsessive, and when he wanted to eat artichokes, he would eat 10 at a time. He did everything to that degree. Like, he was an all-in type of person. Yep. Phoenix's first and longtime love, Martha Plimpton, said he's already being made into a martyr. He's become a metaphor for a fallen angel, a messiah. He wasn't. He was just a boy, a very good-hearted boy who was very fucked up and had no idea how to implement his good intentions. She said, I don't want to be comforted by his death. I think it's right that I'm angry about it, angry at the people who helped him stay sick, and angry at River. Which I feel.
Right.
I feel like that sometimes. I'm like, not everything is a blessing.
No.
You're not always in a better place. You don't have to die to reach these.
No.
Which I think comes up later. Other people did not feel the same. When 250 people gathered for the family's memorial service under a huge live oak tree at the base of River's property, the tenor of many remarks from the people puts it as like, everyone's like, River's in heaven. It was his time.
No, it wasn't. He was so young.
You know, Martha Plimpton said you would have thought he was 90 and had died in his sleep.
No.
He was 23.
It was not his time.
No.
He needed help.
No. After hearing yet another speaker say that River needed to go and he's free now, Bradley Gregg, who played Phoenix's older brother in Stand By Me, who ended up being like an actual brother to him, leapt to his feet and shouted, River did not have to die to be free. He said it like twice. I think
that's how people feel. But, like, he wasn't openly
using drugs.
Right. So, like, how do you go from not knowing he was using drugs to saying, oh, now he's free?
Yeah. No. So, some family updates. This is kind of old. I meant to double check if this is still true. I don't know if it is. It sounds unbelievable to me, but whatever. Their sister Summer was married to Casey Affleck and runs a vintage store in New York called Some Odd Rubies and designs all the clothes for Rain's stage shows.
Casey Affleck is so controversial because I know he's a dick, but he's so talented.
I know. Liberty, meanwhile, has a shop called Indigo Green, which sells eco-friendly homewares, and both sisters have regularly sung and played with Rain. About 15 years ago, John and Hart split up. He lives in Florida where he works as an organic farmer, and she is remarried and remains true to her original roots, working as a campaigner for a peace alliance.
Wow, so they have all just stayed hippy-dippy.
Yep.
Nice.
This is who they were.
I like their conviction.
So do I. Joaquin, obviously, we know what Joaquin's been up to.
Yes.
After winning the Oscar for Best Actor at the 92nd Academy Awards in 2020, he offered a tribute to his late sibling in a touching speech. He said, when he was 17, my brother wrote this lyric. He said, run to the rescue with love and peace will follow. Joaquin and his partner, Rooney Mara, named their son River. After River.
Oh, okay, got it.
I don't know. There was an awkward pause. No. Just felt the need. Okay. And here are just some things that he was supposed to do, which I thought was interesting.
Joaquin Phoenix is talent.
That speech, though. I want to just, which makes sense now that we know who they are, and that's what they always wanted to do. It's just is use their platform to tell people about the terrible things that happens. So Phoenix was due to begin work on Neil Jordan's Interview with a Vampire 2 weeks after his death. He was to play the part of Daniel Malloy, the interviewer, which then went to Christian Slater, who donated his entire $250,000 salary to two of Phoenix's favorite charitable organizations, Earth Save and Earth Trust, which is so fucking nice. The film has a dedication to Phoenix after the end credits. The Guardian suggested in 2003 it was likely that Phoenix would have followed Interview with a Vampire by appearing as Susan Sarandon's son in Safe Passage. The role went to Sean Astin.
I love Susan Sarandon too.
So do I. River had signed on to the lead role in Broken Dreams, a screenplay written by John Boorman and Neil Jordan, to be directed by Boorman, who is the one who shouted at his funeral, and co-starring Winona Ryder. The film was put on hold due to River's death in June 2012, so 9 years later. It was announced that Caleb Landry Jones had been cast in the role that was supposed to be River. Gus Van Sant had persuaded Phoenix to agree to play the role of Clive Jones in Milk, when he was originally planning on making the movie in the early 1990s. The role was eventually played by Emile Hirsch in 2008. When asked in an interview, Van Sant said that he had plans to have River do a movie about Andy Warhol, but that project never went forward because it was like they were writing it for River.
Didn't something come out about Andy Warhol, though? Isn't there something?
I'm sure. Maybe not this, but...
Or no, he was portrayed in... Fuck, was it an American Horror Story or something?
Yes.
With Lea Michele? Or not Lea Michele.
My other enemy, Lena Dunham.
Lena Dunham.
I can't fucking stand her. I'm sorry.
Me either.
I don't know why we so easily forgive these people.
I hate her. I don't like her.
Sexually abused her sister. Wrote about it in a book and then was like, well, it's fine now because, like, I'm saying it's wrong. I'm like, okay, well... No, it's fucking not.
And I don't even like her as an actor.
Never have. Never will.
I feel like she plays the same quirky little role.
Yeah. I only have room for, like, one person. I equate her not as bad and, like, an abuser, but that's how I also feel about Amy Schumer, who sort of redeemed herself with me in Trainwreck. I did not like her for the longest time.
Unpopular opinion. I like Amy Schumer.
I don't think it's that unpopular. I think your opinion is unpopular, liking her. Sound off. I need to know.
No, mine is unpopular.
Oh, I thought you were saying
unpopular opinion. I like Amy Schumer. Okay.
I thought
her
you were
new
saying...
show was so good.
I heard it was good.
Very
and I
good.
love Michael Cera.
Oh my god, it's such a good movie show. You should watch it.
Maybe I will.
It's very, very good. And I did love Trainwreck.
I loved Trainwreck.
It was a good... I think she's funny.
Fine.
I'll say it. I think she's funny. I think she did great at the Oscars.
I Feel Pretty. That was also... I liked that movie.
I haven't watched that.
I think it's... If I like it, you'll like it.
Yeah.
In 1988, River was reportedly carrying around a copy of the 1978 memoir, The Basketball Diaries. He had heard a movie version was in the works and wanted to play the autobiographical role of Jim Carroll. The film was set into hiatus on numerous occasions, with River being cited as the main contender for the role each time. The Basketball Diaries was made in 1995 with 19-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead instead. He had expressed interest in playing the 19th century poet Arthur Rimbaud in Total Eclipse in 1995, which came out in 1995 by Polish director Holland. Phoenix died before the movie was cast, with the role eventually going to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Isn't it so crazy how long movies are in the works for?
In the works forever.
Yeah. That is wild.
And that's what could have been.
Wow.
I truly don't believe we would have Leonardo DiCaprio as we have him if this didn't happen.
I know, I did look up what he looks like.
Beautiful.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
He was Leonardo. There was no need for two of them.
The face, the structure. Very, very Leo. Well, that is very sad.
Isn't it fucking sad?
I feel like it could have been avoided, but also not, because he was in so much denial.
Yeah, he was nowhere near seeking help.
No.
He wasn't even ready
to
think about it.
It was going to happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sad. I agree that it was just a weird combination of, like, he had been so clean for, like, those 6 weeks, and then he came back and it was Halloween.
A culture shock, basically. You were in Utah.
Yeah.
And you come back to LA.
And your friends have been doing this amount of drugs for the past 2 months without you.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I believe that. I don't know if I believe that he was clean that whole time.
No.
But
he clearly wasn't.
Well, he was doing... Like, when Charles was talking about it, that clearly stopped for, like, a brief moment.
Right.
But sad. We'll never really know how bad it was, honestly.
Yeah. Everyone was too scared to...
Too scared.
Well,
she did the one time and he said
try, but can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves.
You can't. It's impossible. And that's that.
That's that.
Like I said, the one shot this week on Friday is going to be all about the Viper Room.
Dude.
So if you would like to hear about that.
I am intrigued. The Viper Room, God, if walls could talk.
Shit.
It has seen some shit.
It really has.
They were just talking about the Viper Room on Back to the Beach podcast this week.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, because I went to Stephen, Trey, and Elsie. Went to LA for a fashion show, and then the after party was at the Viper Room.
I remember that episode vividly.
So good. It's when Kristen Cavallari's car died.
Yeah.
My car is Dunzo.
Dunzo.
It's such a good podcast. You really should listen to it.
If you don't want to listen to the Viper Room one shot, we do talk about the Viper Room and Molly's game.
Yes.
It's a two-parter. It's fantastic.
Viper
Some
Room.
of my best work. TBH.
Dude, I love that episode.
Me too. What an interesting life.
Good. I know.
You need to start an underground poker ring.
I don't know how to play poker. Math and numbers are so hard
That's
for me.
true.
Like,
Perhaps
I
you should
can't
not.
add up in my head. I would never be good at that kind of stuff. Like, I can't. Blackjack is like pushing it. You only got to go up to like 21. But like, I can't, on the top of my head, know what a 7 and an 8 equals. Like, I can't. I
don't know that either. 15.
Okay, if you say so.
Did you ever see those things where like people do math different ways?
Yeah.
Like 7 plus 8 for me is 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. Re-add the 1 to get 15.
What the fuck? No.
I don't know.
I just take 7 and 8 and
that's how you
probably
do it?
count on my fingers. I don't know.
Because I know 7 and 7 is 14. I know that. So then I just take the 1 and add it and make it 15.
Okay, well, the way you said it.
Well, yeah, because you have to take the 1 away from 8 to make it 7. 7 plus 7, add the 1 back in that you took out.
I use my fingers most of the time. No.
I use my fingers for left and right still, so.
Me too, and I keep seeing people that have tattoos, and I really want to get like an L right here and an R right here. I think it'd be so funny because I talk to my sister. I am notable.
There's like a 1 in 5 chance. If you tell me to turn left, I'm going to turn right.
There has been...
Because I'm confused.
So many times where one specific time she was turning and I had told her to go left, but I meant right. And so she starts turning left and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm turning left.
You're
I'm
coming
like,
for her. She's like, no.
I'm like, oh, that's not... I meant the other way.
This was a long episode. It did not feel that long.
No, it was all very interesting.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just making sure, like, didn't feel that long for me? Did it feel that long for you?
No. But I did finish almost 2 twisted teas. So.
But we should go.
Yeah, we should.
See you on Friday if you're on the Patreon for more information about the Viper Room, which is actually kind of interesting.
Also, can you guys listen to fucking Martha Stewart on the Patreon and let me know what you think? Because
Please,
I loved that episode.
So did I. I did not know that's why Martha Stewart went to jail.
I know. I learned so much. I didn't even know what inside trading was. So
head over to the Patreon
you guys
to learn
know
a lot
I'm
of
a words of
shit.
affirmation girl. So tell me you love me.
And on that note,
goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at AlmostPod if you'd like to interact with us and talk about the cases. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/almostpod. It's a monthly subscription where you get early access to 2-parters, shout-outs, bonus episodes. You can email us at almostpod@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, corrections, compliments. Always compliments. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts,
please be sure to subscribe. That way every week when we drop a new episode, it will automatically download for you to listen to. You can also give us a 5-star rating and write us a review and let us know what you think.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.